Hey there YouTube, welcome to another Take Me Out video. Thank you so much for being here. As always, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you will be notified when new videos come out. The focus of today's video is about installing Windows 10 in VMware the right way. Now, I am going to show this process in vCenter, and if you have a standalone ESXI server, I'm going to show the process even though it's fairly similar. Now, initially I didn't even plan on creating this video, but I thought to myself, my next video is something that requires a virtual machine, a Windows 10 virtual machine. By the way, if you're a Synology user, you will be very interested in my next video. It's about active backup for business, bare metal restore. So definitely stay tuned for the next video. But creating this video came up to me as, you know what, if anyone can benefit from this video and maybe learn something new, then no harm can be done. So this will be a quick video about installing Windows 10 in VMware vCenter 7, doing it the right way and doing the right stuff after the installation process is complete. So stay tuned, we will go over to the computer and start working. We'll see you all at the computer. Hey there YouTube, welcome to another Take Me Out video. Today, as I said, we are going to talk about installing Windows 10, and as I said, I didn't even thought about creating this video, but again, I thought to myself, if anyone can benefit from this video, then no harm can be done. So this will be a very quick and fast video, relatively. We are going to skip over a lot of the process. We are going to talk about the beginning of the process and mostly at the end of the process, where most of the choices a user is prompted to take can be something that I have maybe 1 or 2 cents to contribute. So real fast, real quick, we are going to jump into our virtualization environment. For me, it's a vCenter with 2 ESXi hosts, and in VMware I'm going to show it also if you don't have vCenter, if you only have a standalone ESXi, the process will be relatively similar. So the first step, in order to create a virtual machine, no matter what operating system you want to install, is to, if you have a folder structure, you just click on the folder that you want to install the virtual machine on, and right click and click on new virtual machine. Now, I do know that a lot of people are not using the folder structure and only use this view of the hosts and clusters. So the same goes here. Just pick pick the host or the cluster, right click and new virtual machine. The process is almost similar. So let's start the process and click on the folder that we want to add the virtual machine to, right click and new virtual machine. Now, this process is very similar in VMware almost throughout the versions in the past. We will choose the first option, create a new virtual machine, click on next. We'll give the virtual machine a name. Let's call it Win10 TMO, as in Take Me Out. Click on next. This is where we need to select the cluster, and this is depending we have DRS enabled. If not, we will be asked to choose an individual host. So let's just do that. Now we need to select a data store that will hold the virtual machine data files and VMDK files. For now, let's pick on the iSCSI data store I have mounted from my Synology NAS. Click on next, compatible with, that's the VMware hardware version. I think that almost never we will need to mess around with this screen. So just click on next. Now we need to select a guest operating system, and this process is for a later period in the operating system installation. After the operating system is installed, we will need to install in VMware, of course, the VMware tools. If you're installing Windows 10 on a physical device, a desktop or a laptop, of course, this process is not relevant in your case. But we will need to select the correct operating system, because then we will be offered the correct version of the VMware tools. So for us, it's Windows 10 64-bit. Click on next. I usually keep CPU at 2 cores and memory at 4 gigabytes. I do expand the hard disk, and I'm choosing thin provisioning. That's because I don't want the virtual machine to take out the 48 gigabytes up front. Let's choose a network. We will choose our IoT network just for demonstration purposes, and I do want to select the VMXNet NIC driver. And by the way, if you install all your virtual machines with VMXNet as the adapter type, that means that you have 10 gigabytes traffic between your virtual machines. Even if you don't have 10 gigabyte switches or 10 gigabytes routers or whatever, between your virtual machines, you will have 10 gigabytes traffic bandwidth. All right, this is where we need to apply or give the VMware the ISO file of our Windows 10 operating system. We will not discuss in this video where to get the ISO files. I will provide a link in the description to an official Microsoft media creation tool. With this tool, you can obtain your Windows 10 ISO. The license is something that you will need to take care of on your own. So let's go to our ISO folder. Let's click and select the actual ISO file, and don't forget to check this checkbox so that the ISO will be mounted on startup. All right, that's it for this case. If you want, I don't know, a more visual experience with Windows 10, you can select enable 3D support for transparency and visual effects in general. Let's go with that. So let's go with next and finish. So the virtual machine is created, and all we have to do now is to power it on and launch the installation process. So power on with a green triangle, open the console. We missed our chance to launch from the virtual DVD drive, so let's click on send Alt Control Delete and try again. Here we go. At this point, the ISO is being mounted. We will be presented with a very regular Windows 10 installation wizard. At this stage, there is no difference between physical installation or virtual installation. It's the same wizard. So let's click on next. Click on install. Click on the on the Windows 10 SKU or the version of Windows 10 that you have license to. For our demonstration purposes, we will select the Windows 10 Enterprise. Click on next. Click on accept. click on Custom, and select the hard drive, the only hard drive we can select actually, and click on Next. Alright, so at this point the installation is launched. There is no use in waiting for this to be completed. I will of course cut the recording right here, and I will resume it when the installation is finished, and we will be in the out-of-the-box experience wizard, where most of our choices need to be taken. So we will walk over them and do them together. At this point, I'm cutting the recording and we'll resume it when it's finished. All right, so the installation process has finished. Just before I continue the wizard, I just want to dedicate a few minutes to show the process, how the process looks like if you don't have a vCenter, if you only have a standalone ESXi server. Let's jump real quick to one of my ESXi servers and let's see how it's done over there. You will see that the process is almost the same. Let's log in and go to our virtual machine section. We'll right click right here on the virtual machine section and select create or register VM. We will create a new virtual machine. You see that the process is beginning to look very similar to what we saw before. We'll click on next, select a name, Win10 TMO2, select a guest operating system family and Windows 10 64-bit as the OS version. Click on next, select a data store. Here we are presented with the same hardware choices we were presented with a vCenter process. Again, a hard disk. I tend to select thin provisioning. By the way, these exclamation marks will not show up if you're running standalone ESXi. We will select a network. For our case, it will be IoT, and VMXNet3 as our adapter type. Select the ISO. Again, the same process, completely the same. Select. Make sure this checkbox is selected. Click on next and finish. I will not do the process right now. I'm clicking on cancel. I just wanted to show the process on standalone ESXi. Now we will jump back to our out-of-the-box experience wizard. We'll click on United States. That's fine. Click on US as a keyboard layout. That's okay. I'm clicking on skip. Now, because we chose VMXNet3 as our adapter type, until we install the VMware tools, we still don't have a network driver. So for this installation, the Windows wizard pretty much thinks we don't have internet or internet connectivity, which is correct. So we'll click on I don't have internet. I will click on continue with limited setup. This is exactly how I want it to be. Let's give the username a name. Let's type take me out. If you see, you will notice that our screen is showing very blurry graphics. Again, that's just because we chose in the beginning of the process to enable 3D support, which is something that I never do. I just wanted to present this option. But after we install the VMware tools, we will have our graphics card drivers installed as part of the process, and everything will look crispy and clear and exactly like on physical devices with drivers. Okay, so click on next. Password, for this case, I'm skipping this process, although I do recommend selecting a password. And here I'm unselecting everything. I don't want anything to be enabled. And click on accept. click on Not Now. This is the way I install Windows 10. I don't care for any of the features that Microsoft is giving us, like Cortana and tailored experience and all that and all these kind of Windows 10 features. Now, this process of creating the user account and creating everything that is connected to the user account, like the folder structure and the registry and everything else, this might take, your mileage may vary according to your hardware. This can take anywhere from 2 minutes to 10 minutes. Let's give it one more minute to see if it finishes. If not, I will just cut the recording and resume it once this is done. Alright, so I did have to cut the recording, but it only took about a minute later for the desktop to come up. So the first thing that we need to do in order to have a functional desktop, a functional desktop virtual machine, if we can call it that, we need to install the VMware tools. Now, in order to get the VMware tools ISO mounted, we need to jump back to the vCenter. And as you can see, we get a warning that VMware tools is not installed. So just click here on Install VMware tools and click on Mount. Jumping back to the virtual machine, in a few seconds we will see the CD prompt us to install the VMware tools. And of course, if not, we can always, or here it is, but if not, we can always go to the computer and click on the virtual DVD, click on Yes, and we'll get the process started. If this is your first time doing it, you will need to restart the virtual machine once this process is finished. Alright, so the installation is very simple, a next finish kind of install. At the end of it, we will have VMware tools installed, and in the process we will also get network connectivity. Here we are prompted for network connectivity, and display drivers, which we just saw the screen flicker, and we see that the graphics is no longer blurry and pixelated. So let's click on Finish, and we will restart our virtual machine. Now, I have seen in a few occasions, after the process of installing VMware tools, the drivers gets installed and network is working and display is working, but for some reason the VMware tools application itself, for some reason, is presented to the ESXi host as not installed. In this case, all you have to do is to go to the control panel. I will quickly jump in. Go to the control panel, Programs and Features, VMware Tools, and click on Change. And then Next, and Repair. And if this is the case for us, let's see if our vCenter thinks we don't have VMware Tools installed. Indeed, this is exactly what I was talking about, even though I didn't know it was going to happen. So even though we installed VMware Tools, for some reason our hosts believe that VMware Tools is not installed. So let's click on Repair, Next, and Repair. This will of course uninstall and reinstall the VMware tools in one fell swoop. But after this repairing process, we will manually restart our virtual machine, and I can guarantee that once the virtual machine comes back up, the VMware tools installation will be just fine and will be identified by our ESXi hosts and our vCenter server. So let's see if I'm correct. All right, let's jump to our vCenter server. Let's refresh. And indeed, now we see that VMware tools are running. That means the installation is now completely correct in our virtual machine guest and to our ESXi hosts and vCenter server. We see that we have network connectivity and the graphics is no longer blurry and pixelated. At this point, the only thing I strongly recommend you do before starting to install your programs and applications, I do recommend going to this cleanup, running as administrator, selecting everything in our this cleanup options, and delete everything. After that, the next thing that I would do is running Windows Update. And something that I would also recommend after completing Windows updates, I do recommend running the disk cleanup once again, because this will also clean up the update files that were downloaded, installed, and now actually are not really in use. They are just laying there. So this will get you to an updated and clean state of the virtual machine. So at this point, we have actually done installing Windows 10. If you guys know a better way, please let me know in the comment section below. If you saw maybe a mistake I did, please let me know. Write a comment in the comment section. If you want to maybe recommend a different method, maybe you want to share your opinion, write down a comment, guys. And as always, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you will be notified when new videos come out, and definitely stay tuned for our next video, especially if you're a Synology user. I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.